Number 7 says identify the type of curve given by this equation, r equals 3 sine of 3 theta. Then use symmetry zeros and maximum r values to graph the function. All right, so our first job is to identify the type of curve that's going to be given by that function. So the first thing we're going to notice is r is not squared, so we know it's not a lemniscate. And we're not adding or subtracting any constants here, so we know it's not a limison. And we're multiplying this theta by some number other than 1, so we know it's not a circle. This has got to be a rose. And the number of petals on our rose is going to be given by this number. Actually, if this number were even, we'd have to double that number to get the number of petals. So, for example, if this were 2, there would be 4 petals. If it were 4, there would be 8 petals. But since it's an odd number, then that's going to be the exact number of petals that we have. There's 3 petals on our rose. And then the maximum R value is going to be given by this number out in front of the whole thing. The maximum R value is how far away from the origin our petals are going to go. And that maximum R value is going to be reached right in the center of our petals. All right, last thing we need, so we know that this is going to be a rose with 3 petals, and it's going to go out 3 units from the origin. Last thing we need to figure out is where to put that first petal. The petals are going to be spaced equally around the circle. So we just need to figure out that first petal, and then we can draw it easily. Now, if this were cosine, the first petal would be easy because the first petal is always at 0. Because cosine reaches its maximum value at 0. Remember, when we graphed cosine, cosine always started at 1, right at 0. Sine starts at 0, so the maximum value is never going to be at 0. We're never going to have a petal centered on 0 when r is equal to sine. Sine reaches its maximum value at pi over 2. So if we plugged in some values here to try to figure out where our petal is going to be, notice that we're multiplying theta times 3. So if we took our pi over 2 and divided that by 3, that'd be pi over 6. And so we're going to reach our maximum value at pi over 6. So our first petal is going to be right there. It's going to go out 3. And then we just need to space these petals out equally around our circle. So we'll have another one here at 5 pi over 6, and we'll have a third one down here at 3 pi over 2. So our rose is going to look like that. The main thing to note here, though, is that, that if this is cosine, you're always going to have a petal centered at 0. If it's sine, you're never going to have a petal centered at 0. And I think that's it.